The power that the internet and social media has given us is amazing, and I believe that it's mostly good. It has, as they say, democratized media, farthered the reach of free speech, and brought much of the power back to the viewer. And it has brought an opportunity to many that would have little to none if it otherwise didn't exist, in both small and large ways. It has given us the tools to pick who we listen to and engage with in order to think for ourselves of what is important. It has allowed us to hone in on our interests and learn skills of our choosing to the point that it's even taking away importance from traditional education. Obviously, depending on the occupation, you don't really want a nurse or a doctor to say that they got their skills from YouTube. But in a lot of ways, more and more businesses and opportunities for work have been more dependent on the skill itself rather than some degree that just says that you did X, Y, and Z. It has given almost everyone a voice and the opportunity to share their opinions on nearly every subject. While they're commenting on a post from Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Bluesky, Mastodon, or some other platform, or by growing an online audience of their own, or anywhere in between. It has done great in the way of bringing more power to the people and taking it away from the old corporations that controlled the media. However, over the last 2 decades, these platforms that once took power away from the mainstream media, newspaper, movie theaters, radio, and so on, have both worked together with and integrated those old mainstream outlets while becoming giant powerhouses themselves. While I believe the world is better in many ways because of these platforms, and some of them may do a decent enough job, these corporate giants now control the digital town square, which is more and more just the town square. And the truth is, as long as they don't upset the government too much, they get to control everything that we consume and are influenced by, which may shape the way that we see the world. And since they're publicly traded companies, often controlled by a few billionaires, their main objective becomes money. And in many cases, they use their enormous power to shape, influence, and change the narrative in order to best fit mainly the billionaires. As most of us know, our feeds are simply optimized for maximum retention. Companies will go as far to hire psychiatrists to create features that keep us scrolling and engaged on their platform. They don't care about how good the world is, they only care about filling those pockets. So social media and the internet has become a powerful tool for everyone, corporations and people alike. We fill out forms, we keep in touch with loved ones, we make new friends, and much of the dating world is online now. As time has progressed, more and more things are online, and it's more and more important that you are also online. It's very hard to avoid. Some places won't even take paper cash anymore. Don't get me started about that, but it's the truth. A lot of countries even pay with their cell phones, getting rid of the need to even have a wallet with you. Going forward, we need to treat the downsides of the internet and social media not just as a niche problem that people read about and watch documentaries about, but something that is in the consciousness of the majority of people, not only in the country, but in the planet. The downsides are huge. There's things like online bullying and a bunch of nuanced problems that probably need different solutions than the ones that I'm presenting here, but I think the biggest one is manipulation and motivation. Because it's owned by these corporations, their main objective is money, manipulating us to make the most amount of money. Selling our data to governments around the world just to make a buck, I doubt they even think about what might be done with that data. They just want the money right now.
Pulitzer Prize winning columnist, you jumped right back in. This tech industrial complex and its complicity with our growing autocracy in America.
Western businesses, Western companies, Western tech companies essentially acting as accomplices to dictatorships, not just in Russia. This is a global trend. We see this in communist China. We see this in Arab states and other places where people have no right to freedom of expression, freedom of elections. An American company headquartered in California is to suppress and distort information about Putin's bloody and murderous war. Instead of helping the people of Russia, we see Apple actively aiding and abetting Putin's authoritarian regime and in strengthening its censorship tools.
And consolidated ownership of that amount of power causes all sorts of issues. It used to be this niche thing that MySpace, Facebook, the young kids were doing it, but now that so many people rely on it, it's becoming a massive social issue. Corporations own it and people don't. For the majority of human existence, we were pack animals, and really in the greater scheme of things, even agriculture is pretty new. So the world that we've created is not our natural habitat. And the way these algorithms hack our mind takes all of our attention and really it becomes extremely addicting like many other things in the modern world. And other than genetic modification, which one day might happen, I don't think there's very much we can do about getting around it. But changing the motivations and the way social media works is a very good step in the right direction. Because if we're using social media for the betterment of humanity, communication, and all the things that it's really great at, and getting rid of the things that don't serve us, we're gonna move in a much better direction, mental health, and really just like the way the world works. And the third big problem I see is ownership, and not just for people that are making videos for YouTube or posting a bunch of crazy stuff on X, but ownership for everybody on social media. Imagine a world that we own our own part of the internet, or at least controlled it, or at the very least held those that do accountable for the power that they wield. These platforms are incredibly important. They are social hubs that hold the consciousness of the human world. They sway opinion, they sway beliefs, they bring people together, and they push people apart. I personally believe that people are people, meaning that we are more the same than different. And perhaps the biggest lie in human history is that we are different than other. And other doing well means that we may not. This might have been true when we were hunters in the savannah, or as time went on into the dark ages. Only reason that it's true today is belief. If enough people in the world opened up their consciousness to understand that humans are more alike than different, and could open up compassionately and empathetically to each other, then these problems of differences would go away. It's much more complicated, and between certain groups, it would take massive forgiveness. But the truth is that we are all human, and if we want to go on into the future and become the species that I know that we're capable of, it's going to take all of us getting along and working together. We do not live in a zero-sum gain reality, meaning our individual problems do not stem from other groups doing well. Understanding and empathy does change the world for the better, and how we get there is communication. So what's the solution? How can we own all our data? How can we build a better internet? Well, I don't have all the answers, and I don't think it's going to be very simple. And even if we had all the technologies to do kind of what I'm talking about, kind of bypassing the big boys and communicating with each other on a whole nother level, we would still need people to be down to do it. So I think the first step is an awakening, an understanding, which we already sort of do, but more of a convincing of each other to move to platforms, build platforms that put security and communication first. Platforms for the people, by the people. Because we don't want to live in a world where Big Brother is constantly breathing down our neck, knowing little every nick and cranny of our entire life, and even controlling the people that we have the ability to talk to. So what if moving forward into the future of social media and the internet, we dispersed and sort of spread out once more into smaller, more niche, and more locally owned apps that also could communicate with each other? So we have the best of both worlds. There's two different protocols that seem to have a lot of potential. One is ActivityPub and one is the app protocol.
I think we're moving towards this world where we really need to start thinking about decentralized social media.
They both have a lot of the same ideas and agendas and possibilities, and there's even people building I even have one on my phone where I can be on Mastodon and Bluesky at the same time. But it is all in the infancy. And not all the features are working the way that they probably and hopefully will be in, a few years from now. And you gotta give a thumbs up and a pat on the back to Spineless Zuckerberg, because Threads is actually on ActivityPub. I guess it's a beta feature. I don't know, I'm not on Threads, but I guess you can go into some settings and actually turn that on and maybe communicate with some people that are from platforms like Mastodon and other platforms that use ActivityPub, including, I guess there's like a YouTube clone and all that. And then there's slightly newer, the stuff that Bluesky is made of, and that's the app protocol. And as I understand it, it was brought into existence with a lot of the same things that they later added to ActivityPub in mind. But I've been on Bluesky for a couple weeks now, and although it took a while for it to get going and I had to use some starter packs, it feels like a good social media experience, and one that I have much more control over just by default, not even including any of the talking back and forth between different apps and owning your own data ways. Just like as a platform, it's pretty darn good. And on top of that, I was watching TikTok, and there was a video about them creating basically a clone of TikTok on the app protocol. You can already upload videos right now on Bluesky, but it's pretty limited as is. I've been doing it. I've been posting there. Go follow me there if you want to. But it's again, in its infancy. The platforms and the protocols aside, what interests me and what I think is so intriguing and why I think it's the step in the right direction and why I'm mentioning it in this video is because their goals are to have decentralized social media. I've seen a few videos that describe this all in much more technical terms, and I will post them in the description. But the key thing is it's decentralized social media, and I've had it described as working sort of like email. You can have Outlook, you can have Gmail, but they can still talk to each other while also having their own features. And when it comes to ActivityPub, if you can handle like all the information from the different platforms, you can host your own on your own server and like invite your friends and have your own social media. I haven't dug too far into this, but I've heard some people talking about it and it seems pretty cool, except it seems like there's some serious flaws. The point of this video is not to shill these companies, although I would encourage you to join Bluesky because, I don't know, I like it there. If it works the way they're saying it's gonna work, it could be a good future and a step in this direction that I'm talking about. But I don't know if these are the technologies that are gonna last or what's gonna revolutionize the industry. The thing that's gonna revolutionize the industry, if we want it to be revolutionized, is us. Because the truth is, Facebook sells our data, Google sells our data, they take our data, but we are the data. We are the power. Without users, there's no social media, there's no platform, there's no business. They could suck up everything, buy the government, buy the laws, change it all, and make us so poor that we can't afford anything, and guess what? They go out of business. They can go shoot off and try to live on Mars where there's no air, or in their volcano lair, but without us, they can't sell products. We are the power. So the bottom line in my mind is to realize that power and knowing where your money is going. I understand that it's very convenient and sometimes there's no other way but to shop on Amazon, and the truth is I still have Messenger on my phone because I can't get that many people off of it, and I know people that don't even have phone numbers that talk to me through Messenger. So, you know, I try to limit what I do on Facebook because I don't support what they're about. I stay off X because I really have no need to be there. I deleted Instagram. I'm still using TikTok. I'm still using Snapchat. I'm still loving YouTube. I'm not here to guilt trip you for using your favorite social media platform. The truth here is the technology isn't here yet. It's being built as we speak. But I think what we can do is to just realize it and try to educate others. And maybe over time we can slowly get the ball rolling, and eventually it'll just be too big to ignore and they will have to decentralize or just get left in the dust. Within my lifetime, we went from wired phones to wireless phones to cell phones to being on MySpace to never using MySpace to Facebook being the thing and Twitter and so on and so forth. My point is landscapes can change and it takes people to change them. It's a chicken and the egg problem. At one time, people were only communicating online through email. Now, I mean, there's still emails, it's still a powerful platform, but your main communication is probably on social media of some kind. So what will the next 10 years look like? Will it just be Zuckerberg, king of the world, Elon Musk, buying up the world? I want to live long enough for the aliens to come down and us to get along, and Klingons and Vulcans, and live in like some Federation Star Trek world where everything's peaceful and people get along. And I know we're capable of some version of that. Life is never perfect. Those are the movies, I understand, but I think the human race is capable of so much. And I think we're going through growing pains right now. I think technology is inevitable. I think we've been upgrading ourselves since the dawning of time, since we were cavemen, started sharpening spears and hunting, and then agriculture and fire, and this is just the next level of it. We can come together and make technology more and more part of us and work within the human realm of like what's healthy and what benefits us. Just imagine the level of communication if we all owned our own social media. I'm so sick of companies telling us what to buy and telling us AI is the new big thing and NFTs, and sure, like I like to mess around with a lot of stuff, not really the NFTs, but whatever, like some technologies are good, some technologies are bad. My point is they're making the decisions for us, but it doesn't have to be that way. We can make decisions for ourselves, and a decentralized internet and open source technology, both on your desktop or in the cloud, I think paves the way for a brighter future. But I think a lot of us are pretty stressed out right now, and it's okay to breathe And, you know, I'm not the type of creator to talk a bunch of politics and stuff like that. I did make that Bernie video, go watch that. I want to use my voice and my creativity on YouTube and other platforms to spark the minds of the ones that will change the world. My place is to use my imagination, do these edits, write my scripts, and just keep going and not giving up for myself and for the messages that I have, because I do think we all have messages. We're all part of this. One of the greatest things about social media and even YouTube is comments and interaction. This isn't regular media where you just watch it on TV and you can't say anything to me. You know, I've had messages back from pretty big creators and like they don't know me or anything. I just comment on their videos. It's a two-way interaction and that's awesome. You know, we're all humans here. You guys aren't just numbers. I wish my numbers were bigger, but you independently aren't numbers, and even if one person likes what I'm doing, I mean, I'd rather it be more, but it makes it all worth it, especially if I make you feel any sort of hope or anything positive.